Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. If you are new, my name is Nastasia, and today this topic is near and dear to my heart because I feel like I have an issue where I love people too much. And that probably sounds like I'm trying to be like, wow, woe is me, I love too much. But like, if you know what I mean, it can be really hard sometimes when you feel like you care so much and sometimes you feel like it doesn't come back to you. So I kind of wanted to talk about that today. Before I get into it, if you end up liking this video, please give it a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you never miss out on a video every time I post. So I've always known that I'm a very emotional person and a pretty sensitive person, and I always thought it was like a bad thing. I felt like all the time growing up, not that like anybody told me not to cry or not to feel pain or anything like that. That wasn't the case, but I felt like for myself, I was like, man, people don't react the way I do to things. Maybe there's something wrong with me. Like, I care so deeply for people that when they're hurting or when they hurt me or something like that, I take it like a sword in the heart, like literally. And I always thought there was something wrong with me. And just in this past year especially, God has really worked on that in me. Not that he's made me feel less, but actually that he has taught me that that is kind of my, even though I see it as my biggest weakness, he uses it to be my greatest strength. So what I wanted to talk about is, I'm mostly just talking to any of you out there who can relate to me and feel that whether it's a relationship with like a romantic relationship, or whether it's just friendship or anything like that, or whether you just feel all the time and you just cry all the time, or you just like, you don't know why, but everything hits you harder than it hits other people. This video is for you, and I feel you so hard, trust me. I joke with my friends all the time that I have a weekly cry, or in especially rougher seasons, a daily cry, and they're like, what's wrong? And I'm like, it's just my daily cry, and they're like, okay. Like, it's just become so normal, and I was ashamed of it for a long time, that I am such an emotional person. And not even that I would necessarily put it on other people and be angry at people, but just like, I would be so emotional, and I I feel so strongly for people and what they're going through. And I'm just somebody who, I think one of my gifts, like spiritual gifts really, is to feel the emotions of other people. Like, I can immediately pick up how somebody's feeling and what they're going through, like, without even knowing. Like, sometimes I'm around strangers and I can feel what's happening to them. And like, you might think that's crazy. I don't care if you think it's crazy. It's my life. So, but what I've recently realized in this past year is that this is such a gift from God. So I'm here to tell you, like, if you feel that same way, if you feel overly sensitive and overly hurting for like other people, or if it really hurts you more than the average person when you love somebody and they don't love you back in the same way, there's nothing wrong with you. And I think God can and does use that for great, great works. So if we look at Jesus, something when we look at the characteristics of him, I don't think anybody can doubt the fact that he was a loving, loving, good man. Like, he's perfect, so that's not me trying to be like, oh, he was a good man. Like, he is the Son of God, Messiah. But like, I'm just saying, like, when you look at him, I feel like something that, like, the characteristic that outweighs a lot of other characteristics about him is his love. Like, he just loved people and loves people to this day, just like so freaking hard. I mean, that's the reason he went to the cross for us. And I think about different scenarios, like, for instance, the Garden of Gethsemane, I think that's how you pronounce it, Gethsemane. I don't know. The garden where Jesus and his disciples were before he was taken to be put on trial. Well, the guards came, and Peter was so mad about it because he's like, you do not take my Messiah. I feel like I'm Peter in a bad way sometimes. And so he just went up and he just chopped a guard's ear off, just clean off, just took a sword, knife, something, and just chopped off his ear. And what does Jesus do? he rebukes Peter, and he takes the ear and he puts it back on the soldier and heals him. Like, the man who's dragging him away to his death, he responds in love. And then another instance where I think some people could see him as over-emotional when it was completely appropriate is when Lazarus dies. So Lazarus, the brother of Martha and Mary, he dies, and Jesus gets word that he's dying, and he specifically waits to go to the town to heal him. He specifically waits until he dies. Martha and Mary are pretty ticked off at him for doing that, but they're like, "You're Messiah, you know what you're doing. If you want him to live, I know he will, because you can say so." Once he gets there, and he's around Martha and Mary crying, and Lazarus is dead, and all this, Jesus knows he's about to raise him from the dead. He knows that in like 2 minutes he can be like, "Hey guys, don't even sweat it. Like, you don't even have to cry. I'm about to do something." But instead, he weeps. Like Jesus wept. That's where that verse is from. It's not when he's going on the cross or anything like that. It is for this. It is for someone else who he knows he's about to raise anyway, and he still weeps. Not because he's weak, not because he's incapable, but because he feels so hard. He feels so hard for Martha and Mary. He feels for Lazarus. He feels for the people, and he is hurting for them. Not because he can't raise him and he knows he's about to raise him, but because, like, he just loves and he feels. And so, like, that always gets me. I think about that. Like, whenever I'm crying and I feel like it's for no reason, I'm like, why am I crying? I just remember, you know what? Jesus cried. He knew exactly what he was going to do, and he still cried about it. And so, like, having emotion is not a bad thing. You know, I think we can spend our lives, though, like, you know, really trying to set boundaries around our emotions and not give our hearts away too quickly, you know what I mean, and like guard our hearts. But at the same time, we are called to love. And I have just gotten to the point in my life where, like, I don't even care anymore if it hurts. Like, I spent this year back and forth over, and God showed me in a bunch of different instances using different romantic relationships, or like just friendships, or anything, literally just a ton of different scenarios to get me back and forth on the yo-yo of, I don't want to be hurt anymore, I'm just going to make myself cold, to God softening me again and being like, "Hey Stas, I didn't call you to be hard and cold. I called you to be vulnerable. I called you to be warm. I called you to be inviting. And even if it hurts you, you are to love people, because that's what you do best." And I would go back and forth, because then I would love people and then I'd get hurt and be like, "No, never again. I'm just going to be the worst. And I'm not going to let anybody touch me. I'm not going to let anybody touch my heart or see me or anything like that." And it's like, that's not who I am, though. Like, even if it hurts me, I get so much more out of loving someone fully. Even just a stranger or anything like that, really giving my heart, not like, again, I still guard your heart, don't be just like stupid about it, but love people, you know, like, be warm, be inviting, knowing that they might be callous, they might be going through something, they might not be able to accept your love, and it might not be your fault. It's probably not your fault. It's probably that somebody just doesn't know how to be loved. They don't know what that's like, but you are called to do it anyway. I mean, Jesus, he was called to love all of us. It caused him torture, pain, suffering, emotional, physical suffering, betrayal and loss, and then death. But he still did all of it. And I'm not trying to compare any of us to Jesus, because we never could be, but we are called to try to be like him in any way that we can as fallen humans. And so this is me trying to remind you, if you have gone through something really difficult recently, if you feel like your heart's been stepped on, either by a friend, either by a relationship or family, or just the world. I know sometimes I can look at the world and be like, this is such a sad, evil, dark place. Like, I hate this. Like, I don't want anything to touch me. I'm so scared. Like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to like open myself to the world. I just want to be in my bubble and I just want to get things done. Like, but that's not how we're called to live. And I'm just here to remind you gently that it is okay to love people the way you love them. And here's the thing, you're gonna get hurt. You are going to get hurt. The people you love most, the people you care about most, the people you give your all to are going to hurt you the most. But it's okay. Also, I don't want this to come across that if you are in any kind of abusive situation, that you should continue putting yourself through that circumstance. Like, absolutely not. No. Like, do not do that. That's not what I mean at all. I just mean, like, people are gonna let you down. Nobody's gonna be perfect. Don't let that make you hard. And even if you are in an abusive situation, like, I 100% say walk away from that, but also give that to God, and don't let that have power over your future. Don't let that have power over if another man will treat you that way, or if another friend or family member, or if God treats you or sees you that way, because none of that is true. And that situation, that sin that Satan tried to use against you, does not control you. It does not have power over you. And it's kind of a side note, but anything anybody does to you has no control over you, even in a non-abusive situation. Anybody who just hurts you, breaks your heart, says something mean, doesn't care about you the way you do, anything like that, you can fight with love. It does not have to penetrate, like, your heart. It doesn't have to dictate your future. It doesn't have to change your identity. It doesn't change your identity or anything like that. So this is just your friendly neighborhood Stas telling you to keep loving people, keep risking your heart, and keep putting it on the line for people, because that's what Jesus does. And more than anything else, have your identity and your solid foundation in God, so that when people do hurt you, it doesn't explode your heart. It doesn't really hurt you permanently, because you have God and He never hurts you, He never goes away, and He will always love you more than you could love Him. So yeah, and also, you're not too much. You're not too much for being emotional. You are not too emotional, you're not too sad, you're not too sensitive, you are exactly right. So I just want you to know that you're never too much or too little. You are exactly how you are supposed to be. Love you guys so much. I hope this was a little bit encouraging for you guys, and I will see you next time. Love you. Bye.